Hey, we're in Exodus chapter 7 and 8. It's the beginning of the plagues with God using Moses to let the Israelites or the Hebrews go free. Behind me, got the Nile River, which is going to play a part in this story this time and probably tomorrow as well. So let's go ahead and get into the text. Chapter 7, Contemporary English Version, goes like this. The Lord said, I'm going to let your brother Aaron speak for you. He will tell your message to the king, just as a prophet speaks my message to the people. Tell Aaron everything I say to you, and he will order the king to let my people leave his country. But I will make the king so stubborn that he won't listen to you. He won't listen even when I do my many terrible things to him and his nation. Then I will bring a final punishment on Egypt, and the king will let Israel's families and tribes go. When this happens, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. Moses and Aaron obeyed the Lord and spoke to the king. At the time, Moses was 80 years old and Aaron was 83. The Lord said, Moses, when the king asks you and Aaron to perform a miracle, command Aaron to throw his walking stick down in front of the king, and it will turn into a snake. Moses and Aaron went to the king and his officials and did exactly as the Lord had commanded. Aaron threw the stick down and it turned into a snake. And when the king called in the wise men and the magicians who used their secret powers to do the same thing, they threw down sticks and turned into snakes. But Aaron's snake swallowed theirs. And the king behaved just as the Lord had said and stubbornly refused to listen. The Lord said to Moses, the Egyptian king stubbornly refuses to change his mind and let the people go. Tomorrow morning, take the stick that turned into a snake, then wait beside the Nile River for the king. Tell him the Lord God of the Hebrews sent me to order you to release his people so they can worship him in the desert. But until now, you have paid no attention. The Lord is going to do something to show you that he really is the Lord. I will strike the Nile with the stick, and the water will turn into blood. The fish will die, the river will stink, and none of you Egyptians will be able to drink with water. Moses then commanded Aaron to hold his stick over the water, and when he does, every drop of water in Egypt will turn into blood, including the rivers, the canals, the ponds, and even the water in buckets and jars. Moses and Aaron obeyed the Lord, and Aaron held out his stick and then struck the Nile, and as the king and his officials watched, the river turned into blood, the fish died, and water smelled so bad that none of the Egyptians could drink it. Blood was everywhere in Egypt, but the Egyptian magicians used their secret powers to do the same thing. The king did just as the Lord had said. He stubbornly refused to listen. Then he went back to his palace and never gave it a second thought. The Egyptians had to dig holes along the banks of the Nile to drink water for drinking water, because water from the river was unfit to drink. Chapter 8. 7 days after the Lord had struck the Nile, he said to Moses, go to the palace and tell the king of Egypt that I order him to let my people go so they can worship me. And if he refuses, I will cover his entire country with frogs. Warn the king that the Nile will be full of frogs, and from there they will spread into the royal palace, including the king's bedroom and even his bed. Frogs will enter the homes of his officials and will find their way into ovens and into the bowls of bread dough. Frogs will be crawling on everyone, the king, his officials, and every citizen of Egypt. Moses now command Aaron to hold his stick over the water. Then frogs will come from all rivers, canals, and ponds in Egypt, and they will cover the land. Aaron obeyed, and suddenly frogs were everywhere in Egypt. But the magicians used their secret powers to do the same thing. The king sent for Moses and Aaron and told them, if you ask the Lord to take these frogs away from me and my people, I will let your people go and offer sacrifices to them. All right, Moses answered. You choose the time when I am to pray for the frogs to stop bothering you, your officials, and your people, and for them to leave your houses and be found only in the river. Do it tomorrow, the king replied. As you wish, Moses agreed. Then everyone will discover that there is no God like the Lord, and frogs will no longer be found anywhere except in the Nile. After Moses and Aaron left the palace, Moses begged the Lord to do something about the frogs he had sent as punishment for the king. The Lord listened to Moses, and the frogs died everywhere, in houses, yards, fields. The dead frogs were placed in piles, and the whole country began to stink. But when the king saw that the things were now better, he again did just as the Lord had said, and stubbornly refused to listen to Moses and Aaron. The Lord said to Moses, "Command Aaron to strike the ground with his walking stick, and everywhere in Egypt the dust will turn into gnats." And they obeyed. And when Aaron struck the ground with the stick, gnats started swarming on people and the animals. In fact, every speck of dust in Egypt turned into a gnat. When the magicians tried to use their secret powers to do this, they failed, and gnats stayed on people and animals. And the magicians told the king, "God has done this." But the Lord had said the king was too but as the Lord had said, the king was too stubborn to listen. The Lord said, "Early tomorrow morning, while the king is on his way to the river, go and say to him, 'The Lord commands you to let his people go so they can worship him. And if you don't, he will send swarms of flies to attack you, your officials, and every citizen of your country. Houses will be full of flies, and the ground will crawl with them.' The Lord's people in Goshen won't be bothered by flies, but your people and the rest of the country will be tormented by them. That's how you will know that the Lord is here in Egypt. This miracle will happen tomorrow." The Lord kept his promise. The palace and the homes of the royal officials swarmed with flies, and the rest of the country was infested with them as well. Then the king sent for Moses and Aaron and told them, "Go sacrifice to your God, but stay here in Egypt." "That's impossible," Moses replied. "Any sacrifices we offer to the Lord our God would disgust the Egyptians, and they would stone us to death. No, indeed, the Lord has ordered us to walk 3 days into the desert before offering sacrifices to him. That's what we have to do." Then the king told him, "I'll let you go into the desert to offer sacrifices if you don't go very far. But in the meantime, pray for me." "Your Majesty," Moses replied, "I'll pray for you as soon as I leave. And by tomorrow the flies will stop bothering you, your officials, and the citizens of your country. Only make sure that you're telling the truth this time and that you intend to let our people offer sacrifices to the Lord." After leaving the palace, Moses prayed, and the Lord answered his prayer. Not a fly was left to pester the king, his officials, or anyone else in Egypt. But the king turned stubborn again and would not let the people go. So we're going to see this happen some more in the next couple of chapters, just to see what was going on with this Pharaoh. And it's obvious that money and power was more important to Pharaoh than the lives of his people. He was a pretty selfish guy, but God knew all along what was going to take place. Talk to you tomorrow.